I'm Paul Higgins, an ex-corporate executive turned business owner who for 5 years struggled to grow a cloud consulting business whilst battling a chronic disease. With the help of mentors and experts, I got the business model right, built a sales and marketing engine and developed a high-performing team that ended in a successful exit. I received a kidney transplant from a mate, and now on my second life, I dedicate my time to helping other cloud consultants scale quickly with less effort to enjoy life. Detecting an accent? I'm an Aussie working globally from Melbourne, Australia. I interview successful cloud consultants sharing their scaling stories to give you inspiration and practical tips. I have dedicated experts for cloud consultants on the show to save you time and money by working with the right people. If you want to scale quickly with less effort to enjoy life, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Paul Higgins and welcome to the Cloud Consultants Show, episode number 471. Today's topic is building an app on the Salesforce App Exchange, and you will learn why use an outsourced development team and how to work with them, different types of apps being either hybrid or native, the best way to work with Indian developers, where Andi has got immense experience from that, but he has worked in particularly the US and in India, and finally how artificial intelligence and machine learning will expand. He gives a score out of 10 at the moment and where he thinks it's going to be in the next couple of years. If it's your first time, welcome. And if you love what you hear, please subscribe. It's for cloud consultants, where people consult and go and implement or deploy SaaS platforms. So if that's you, you're in the right place. And if you're a regular, thanks for your support. I'd love to hear from you. Email me at paul@paulhigginsmentoring.com. Let me know you listen, and most importantly, suggest some topics or suggest some guests, and that may include you. Always really appreciate those that do. So I want a quick shout out to Kerry Gunn, who did recommend Andi for the show, which was great. And you can get all the summary in the app that you're listening to now, but also at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast. It's episode 471. And before we go into the interview with Andi, I'd like to thank our sponsors. The first is the Cloud Consultants Collective. It's the world's only revenue-focused collective for cloud consultants. Peers answering business questions for other peers. Much better than Google or YouTube. Why don't you try it for yourself at thecloudconsultantscollective.com. And you can join free. And the other one is SendSpark. So it's a fantastic personalized video platform, brilliant for sales. It allows you to have a core video that's personalized and then also have other videos that you can attach. Why don't you go check it out for yourself, because it's free to do so. You can get a free 6-month trial at paulhigginsmentoring.com/SendSpark. Today's guest is Andi Giri. He's an IT entrepreneur with over 35 years of experience. He completed his bachelor's at a college in Chennai, India, and then a degree in computer engineering from the University of Maryland in the US. And he started SoftSquare back in 1997, and it was originally an IT staff augmentation firm. Sorry if I can get that right. And then he pivoted towards more managed services in 2008, I should say. And now he is driving product best practice, and he builds fantastic apps, and he goes through an example of one that he's built, but that's what he does, builds apps on app exchanges. And he's very active both in the Tamil community. He's also active in investing in startups through Native Angel Network and some others, and he's just an all-round fantastic guy. He runs a great team, and you're going to love this interview with Andi Giri from SoftSquare.biz. So great to have you here, Andi.
My pleasure, Paul.
Yeah, so look, you've had a long time. Obviously, you started very young in your life, a long time within the IT industry, and in particular within Salesforce of late. So we're going to dig into that in a little bit more detail soon, but why don't we start with what clients you love to work with at the moment and what problems you love to solve for them?
Okay. Basically, we enjoy doing digital transformation problems or solving them. Clients who use legacy databases, who use spreadsheets, not necessarily paper, because paper is gone for the last 20 years at least.
Yeah.
Those that have tough problems to solve and want to leverage the Salesforce ecosystem. for solving those problems. We are very specific to Salesforce. Of course, the plant has so many other SaaS solutions. We can't go and learn every one of them.
Yes.
And this is the top one in the mid-sized business to growth business, and that's where we delve.
Right. And with Salesforce, are you all of the cloud products, or you focus on
Most of them. Most of them. Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Consumer Goods Cloud, Marketing Cloud. These are the top ones because we have to dance to the market, right? We can't say we just do this. We can, but we are not that deep specialized at the moment.
Yeah. And we'll sort of dig into it a little bit more, but my understanding, you've sort of got the services arm and then you've got the product arm as well. So just tell us a little bit about the difference between those two.
Okay. As many of you know, services is a low barrier entry point. So in fact, before services, we were doing staff aug in about 15, 20 years back. And then I didn't like that because there were ethical barriers I had to jump across. And I didn't like unethical means of running a business. So I moved away from that to project consulting. And we were doing project consulting for OS Commerce, PHP Nuke, all kinds of different things. And I said, I was advised by someone saying that you should focus. Yeah. So we started focusing on a product, and I chose SAP and Salesforce way back in 2008. So wanted to pivot to one of these two or specialize in one of these two. And I started learning both. And I got my first consulting assignment with Salesforce. And I was lucky enough to pick Salesforce because that was the up and coming company, while SAP was already well established. So it was difficult to get it, to break it. So got into Salesforce and did services for about 3 years. And we slowly and steadily built a practice based on Elance, which is currently Upwork. Yes. So all very small gigs, I mean, from $800 to $10,000, we ranged, where the range was. And then we would even develop code or configuration, put it on, not publish it, but say, we have done this piece for you, and then win the project and then go ahead and do it. So that's how we did our services. And then I had a product manager at that time, who eventually is our product GM. His name is Nixon Brito. He said, okay, we have some product ideas, let's start developing. And then we built some products, but they were not really commercial. We just put them free on the App Exchange. A couple of them were commercial, but we didn't do any marketing, no branding, nothing. So they didn't move much. And then the last couple of years is when we decided to do stronger commercial products. And we are going strong at the moment, or building it up. It is yet to scale to a larger level.
Right. And those commercial products that you do you do them for yourself? And do you also do them for other Salesforce partners as well?
Correct. In fact, our services, if you want me to explain a little bit about our services business, our service business has two pieces. One is SI, which could be Consumer Goods Cloud or Marketing Cloud or Sales Cloud mostly, and some Service Cloud too. And then Pardot and CPQ and other B2B commerce, those components of the Salesforce ecosystem. And then the other piece that we have, which is almost 50% of our business, is product building for others. So ISPs on the App Exchange, they have business ideas or they have built something to a certain piece and they want a hybrid team with a certain amount of cost optimization. They come to us and say, hey, I need this thing built. Can you do an estimate for this piece to be built? Sometimes they come where they have developed something, but they can't push it through the App Exchange security review, which is kind of rigorous. So they come to us and we build those products for them, or get them ready for the App Exchange, list them, and help them with the other processes beyond the Salesforce development and then our deployment of the app. So app building is a major part of our practice, and our ISV capabilities also gel into this, right? Our teams have internal communication and learning and best practices, which we apply to our clients when we build those apps for them.
Yeah, and then look, it's been a while since I built an app myself or consulted for apps, but I know in the old days it was, people had great ideas, but not a lot of money. That is a general rule. And, they used to say, hey, we'll give you, equity share or whatever it was. What's your model in how you help people get products or apps to the app exchange?
Yeah, initially we started with equity share. When we had money in the pie or substantial amount to invest initially, but nowadays we do a deal, except for one that we do. We generally bill the client, and basically they start with a fixed cost estimate of something, and we built one for Citrix, and they said, okay, it costs them $10,000 to do a bridge. So let me explain. There are two types of App Exchange products: hybrid and native. Hybrid products are those that already have been established as a SaaS platform, either established or just built. And then Salesforce front end to that SaaS platform is what's called a hybrid product, because it's not, the IP is not in Salesforce, the IP is in theirs. Yes. And the actual grinding is done in their app, and we provide a UI in Salesforce, not like an iframe, but more deeper UI. So they have an admin panel, they have some screens which will do some work on their platform and throw back the interface or give the user interface to a Salesforce customer who wants to leverage another SaaS cloud or SaaS product. So that we do, that's called a hybrid. Native products are actually the most cash generating for us, because they need their IP, the client's IP is right there in Salesforce, and we build Salesforce apps very similar to what you would build Node.js or Java or PHP or any kind of app, right? So you need a deeper knowledge of the system, and it's built right there on the Salesforce platform, on the Lightning platform, and we help them build those apps and go through the entire process of development. And it's a recurring revenue for us, because anyone who builds an app scales the app and builds it and improves it. Otherwise, the product will be dead, right? So the dependence on us and our attachment with the customer is stronger when it comes to native app.
Yeah, and I talk to a lot of Salesforce partners. That's my job sort of every day to, either talk to them, coach them, interview them like I'm interviewing you. And a lot of them say, service is difficult, as we all know, the margins are tight, et cetera, et cetera. And, we've got these great ideas for product, but they're like, but I don't really know how to do it. I've got a concept, but people even ask me, like, who do you know that does this? And for you, well, take us through maybe an example. You don't have to name the company, but, from that initial idea stage to, I think I can commercialize this product to, grow revenue outside of my services, to actually getting it to market. Give us just a quick overview of how that happens.
So there's a App Exchange app called New Law. It's a lawyer CRM, so meant for legal business, primarily in the United States. I think there's some sales outside also. And they wanted to build an app about 3 years back, and they came to us saying, hey, we have the business requirements. We have a product manager. You provide us a technical architect and the technical lead and a bunch of developers to get that done. So we started doing, we had a Scrum board. They chose Gina. They would collaborate with our team to build the app. And it's been ongoing. So it's not only the build of the app that we support this customer, we also have got a deal to do their SI services. So over and above the building of the app and delivery of the app and constant enhancement to the app, we also provide SI services for that app to their customers.
Right.
So when the customers have needs, we also have a weekly meeting with this client to actually properly deliver those to their clients, because it's their client which they are giving to us, and we need to make sure we deliver this product properly or configure it properly for the customer. Data migration is a very important piece, right? Because they would be using a competing legal product that they want to move to this model, this new app. And one thing I forgot to mention is some apps on Salesforce are built on top of Salesforce platform. They are not enhancements of Sales Cloud or Service Cloud. So they built like you build a Node.js app and deploy it on AWS, similarly, or Azure. And these products are built on Salesforce platform using Salesforce's own proprietary technology and then deployed. So in this case, it's called OEM. So this is an OEM app that we support. I'll explain the other option in a subsequent.
Yeah, great. And look, I think that Kerry Gunn, who's
Kerry Gunn, yes.
Yeah, great. And so how validated was their idea when they came to you? Like, what have they done to do market validation of the idea?
The business side validation was completely done by them, right? our capabilities are lesser on the business validation of the app. I think that was 3 years back. At the moment, I think we have more knowledge, but we are not business consultants in that sense.
Yes.
Our strength is more technology or building apps for the app exchange. But then we know there's something called app analytics that ISVs, Salesforce ISVs use. And we had to teach some of our larger ISVs saying, hey, this is a feature that Salesforce is giving. They're giving you user adoption. They're giving us information about who or how many users use this component within this time frame, right? They give a lot of analytics because currently they give CRM analytics licenses.
Yes.
And we use that to effectively go and do, let's say we go to a customer success session, we tell the customer, hey, we have so much adoption of our app, and how many more users, we see so much traction. We would like to know what you want more in our product, right? So it helps a lot. And we build some tools around app analytics to make it more friendlier to the ISV. And we actually in the process of executing that piece for one of our big ISVs now. So
and
ISVs and ads. Yeah.
Yeah. And how long did it take from when they first met you to go to market for new law?
Oh, yes. It was about a couple of years to get to that level.
And for you, what do you, so working with Kerry and new law, what do you find the piece that is critical for them to get right? Obviously, like you said, the business case is outside of, but working with your teams, what makes a really good partner to work with versus a not so?
Okay. Very importantly, clarity of requirement, right? If the client has a reasonable amount of detail and knowledge of the product that they want to build and market acceptance of that, then our job becomes easier. But easy is always not the best, right? So the more tougher problems or more hazy it is more challenging and more rewarding for our team to learn and go. But there's also risk, right? We are primarily offshore, which means we don't have direct communication as much as the leaders, right? I travel a lot and I meet every one of my clients. My team members may not in all cases. So clarity of requirements has become very important. And then how they treat the people, right? So some clients are not sensitive to time zone differences. They would expect people to be there during those hours, and I avoid such customers because there are tools. It's always PPT, right? Process, people, and tools. So if you use the right tools and the right process, it's not impossible to run an offshore operation or align with an offshore team. And some clients, it's tough to teach them, and it's become difficult. But we try our best to make sure they align with us to some extent. And also, treating your people well matters a lot because people have multiple initiatives that they have during the day or multiple tasks. And then they would choose a customer who treats them well, right? So it's all human finally.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT beats us. So it looks like a lot of the code can be done by ChatGPT nowadays if you explain what you want.
Yeah, well, I know you studied a lot in the US. You spend some of your time now in the US, but also in India. Well, what do you see as the biggest cultural differences between the US and in India, and I suppose in the context of working with the development team?
Actually, it's not greatly different. The education system in India is not too bad, but there is a lot of training we have to do to an entry-level developer in India because the experiential learning is a little bit lacking in some of the colleges. So it depends on where they have gone. So US and India are very well aligned nowadays in terms of culture or company culture, except that Indians are very hierarchical by nature, I think, by cultures. And that's a little bit difficult to beat because I don't like hierarchy. I don't like these yes man and sir and things that I have learned from the US that should not be there. But so that's something that's difficult, right? Because you have to align with the local culture. You can't go and push it down anyone's throat, regardless of where they are from. So that's one thing that I would like to improve. But otherwise, in terms of work ethic, with reasonable training, people learn from their customers as much as they learn from their peers.
Yes.
So, yeah. And there is always people who are achievers. There are try to lie low. but some who try low are also good, right? So it depends on how we can tap them and grow them as a career and not just a job. So yeah.
Yeah, and look, my experience is we had a small development team in the Philippines, but most of mine was more non-development skills into all around the world, particularly in the US and Australia. So that was my experience. And yes, I found that, the Filipinos are very hierarchical and, they're very family orientated. So they're sort of the two key traits. And yes, I found where, different cultures and different people didn't really respect. And it was less of a cultural thing. It was just a personality thing where if you didn't respect, like you said, those two key things or didn't realize it. I remember the first time I had a meeting and I came from Australia where, we generally call it how it is. And I said, okay, we're going to have a workshop on how to improve the business. And I sort of said, okay, so we'll go around and everyone will give their thoughts like I wouldn't, when I was a director at Coca-Cola, I just thought that's fine. I'll run a workshop. I've run millions of them and no one said a word. I'm like, anyway, long story short, it was like, well, it's disrespectful to talk about things that should be improved in front of the boss, right? That's not what you do. So I had to find different ways to get that information out, right? And I think, often, I think the fear of going offshore is often overstated. I think it's much better experience than most people think it's going to be because you always hear the bad stories, right, of the things that went wrong. You never hear all the good things about the things that went right. So I think that's definitely part of it. But I think that hierarchy and not wanting to directly give feedback might be negative, I think is, that's definitely in the Philippines. And I get the feeling that that's similar in India.
Yeah, that's very similar, right? It's difficult to explain negative things to people. Sometimes they take it personal, but it depends on your relationship, right? How you build the relationship with the person. So if you just go and snap with them, then obviously, regardless of culture, people will be upset, right? So those are things that we learn. Learning is a lifelong exercise, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's where your skill's great that you've spent time in both, right? So you've got that beautiful blend to help it smooth out. And like when new law came and approached you, how did they find you in the first place? How did they pick you as a partner versus anybody else?
Okay, through a reference. Actually, most of our clients at the moment have been acquired through reference or through Elance. So it's mostly reference in terms of product clients, but in terms of SI, we've got a lot of traction with AEs, particularly in India space, because India is digitally transforming after COVID, unfortunately. And so there is a lot of projects that Salesforce introduces us to, and that's the finest channel I've seen when it comes to SI. So align with the AEs, and they'll throw a lot of work at you.
Yeah. And any tips on how you oil that wheel better, right? Because everyone's got a different view of doing it. What's your version of how you get the AEs to provide you a disproportionate share of those leads?
Okay. It's essentially about relationship and how your quality of deliverable is. Initially, it used to be like when I tried 10 years back to attract AEs, we would go to trade, me and my ops VP would go to conferences, try to attract their attention when the SaaS had not really bloomed, right? It's bloomed in the US and probably some parts of Australia and UK and Canada and other places, but not in India. So it was difficult to sell relatively more expensive software, CRM software to customers in India, and we tried hard. So at that time, we attracted the attention of the AEs, but we were a small team. So for them, we were probably not big enough. And then once we have scaled to a certain extent, now they see the quality of deliverable and then the reputation that we have got and success. Of course, there are challenges, right? Because if you spend a lot more than what you committed for to a client and you deliver, they're very happy. But then we have negative cash flow. So you got to balance the budget properly, right? For each project and attain success. So it's a tighter game. Billables are low here. So obviously we'll have to be really tight to make sure we have some little margin left, if not a loss. So that's a bit tough. But, your quality is what speaks.
Right. And, speaking of, Indian talent, once again, my main reference is in the Philippines, where they continue to educate and continue to put people. There's normally, thankfully enough people. And often people would say to me, hey, I'm looking for this particular person. I'm like, look, I can find you maybe one of them within the Australian market, or I can find you, 1,000 of them in the Filipino market, right? So you make your choice as to which one you want. So, for you and the talent that you are looking for, just tell us a little bit about that. Is like the unis, do they continue to pump out people that, are easy for you to train, or is that getting easier or harder? Just give us a bit of an insight into the talent that's available within India.
Yeah, talent is available in all scales, right? Experienced or meaning entry level versus architect level. The sweet spot we deal with is college. We go to multiple colleges, about 20, 30 colleges every year, to hire about 30 to 50 people. And then about 60, 70% of them take the offer. It's a competitive market. It's a seller's market, typically, except for here and there a few years. And it's right after college, and nurture them. They have more commitment in some sense, and they also are pristine and fresh. They're green, right? So we can train them better than hired individuals. So our success in terms of quality has come because we have nurtured people right out of college who have the fire in the belly and also the intent to learn and grow along with us. So that is key to our success, I think.
Yeah, great. And you mentioned like time zones can be a bit tricky, being on multiple time zones, etc. What else you see that pops up when, let's say that someone is building something on top of Salesforce, like you said, like new law as an example. What are some of the other challenges that you find on a regular basis when you're working with partners?
So partners bring one important thing, which is they bring the client. So we don't have to go acquire new clients, right? They have the clients and they want primarily development, and many cases they also want admin services in the Salesforce ecosystem, knowledge of the product. So they want cost and scale, right? When it comes to offshore, it's about cost is one factor, which is kind of waning away now. But the other advantage is scale. The number of people who are available in this part of the world is bigger. And so that helps up. So in terms of time zone, Pacific time zone is a bit difficult because it's 13.5 hours away. Eastern and Central time zone in the US, and of course Hong Kong, Australia, those time zones, it's early. We have to do an early shift. So we don't have a shift basis kind of thing, but our people, we can't mix and match people who do Australia with people who do US because they're diametrically opposite. So we make sure they have a reasonable quality of life, so they don't get burnt in the morning or in the evening. Burnt means getting tired because of a long work day. So in terms of alignment, we try to make sure the entire team does one particular region support or development work versus the other. And of course, process, right? And tools. So if you have the right tools, we give overlap. So every client would get at least 3 to 4 hours of time overlap, so that they can interact with our people properly. And if they have to get into a call, in some cases we have daily scrum calls, in some cases 2 or 3. We don't push process down the team, the same process down. We accommodate the client's requests and dance to their process and improve that as much as we can. And tools are important. Many clients would come and say, email. Couple of months is okay. But then if they wanted to scale properly, then we would push them to Asana or Jira or Agile Accelerator kind of tools, and make sure that they use them and project manage it.
Yeah, and I think, I've got team members all over the world, and, to me, video has become a fantastic tool, whether it's, use Learn, whether, I use something called SendSpark, but, using video now can replace a lot of meetings where you can have asynchronous communication, i.e., you watch it, you can, repeat back, but you don't actually have to be in a meeting. And I think that, thankfully, COVID, I think is, even for the people that weren't up to speed, now everyone's up to speed on that, right? I always joke when, you used to have to ask people if they'd turn the video on, right? Before COVID. Now everyone just automatically comes on with the video on, right? It's completely changed. And for you, so, you've got all those time zones, etc. Are your people in an office? Are they working from home? You got a hybrid model? Like where do your teams live?
We were closed for about 2 years. We reopened November 1st of 2022. So last few months, 4 months, we've been doing from the office. About 20% of our workforce still at home. I mean, some of them have children in school and various other personal commitments. So we are fairly flexible if they're productive so that they can manage their lives from their homes. Some of them come every other day to work sometimes. Some of them come once a week. So primarily those that we find are productive regardless of where they are. And we are flexible in that sense. But as a culture, we are starting to discourage work from home because entry-level people, we can't train them when they're at home. They come out of college, they think it's a 9 to 5. It's not about 9 to 5, it's about ability to communicate to the customer. And our customers come at 6:30. So US customers come they come to active work around 6:30, 7:30 p.m. our time. So our team has to obviously accommodate a bit of time, shift towards the evening.
Yeah.
So
yeah, great. And
interaction is important.
Yeah, and you talked about the App Exchange before. Obviously that's where all the marketplace and where it all happens. What are you seeing as the future of the App Exchange and where it's going? Like, if I'm interested, I'm a Salesforce partner, I'm listening to Andi and I'm thinking, I've got these great ideas for some apps that I want to develop on the app market place, or exchange, I should say. What do you see changing? What are the trends? Or you might say, no, look, it's going to be the same for the next 5 years. I'd just love to get your perspective on that.
Okay. I mean, automation is the key to any SaaS product, right? Particularly Salesforce, right? Enables automation. Even in our own products, we use Office 365 sheet, we have email, we have bold sign to e-sign our documents, but they are still in different systems, right? So we tend to automate those for our own, and we deploy some of that as part of our tool set, right? So what we have our ISV partners or ISV clients eat our dog food in some cases, as I mentioned, the app analytics and those. So it's important that automation stays, which is already there, right? It's been around for more than 10 years. While I think AI enabling App Exchange products
yes,
would help a lot, including our own products. We are thinking we have a media manager product, which would render in a carousel images, videos, PDFs, PPTs, whatever it is, right? Most of the content that customers use. And then we had a requirement to scan a device or some kind of an equipment and get the OCR out of it, get the text out of that, so that a call center doesn't have to read it and put it, right? A call center rep. So that kind of requirement, if we enable that product to also OCR, that would help, right? We are thinking about how we can differentiate our products with AI. It could be NLP, it could be image recognition, it could be any of the new upcoming trends, right?
Yes.
So I think we will gain a lot. App Exchange products will gain a lot of traction if there is more AI and possibly ML associated enhancements that product vendors could build on top of Salesforce App Exchange. And part of it is aligning with the right AI provider, right? Salesforce has Einstein, but that doesn't mean Einstein is a big all and end all of everything. There is TensorFlow by Google, there is Azure Tools, there is Oracle doing some work. So we need to, IBM particularly,
yes,
and we need to align and learn and do the best tool in the market and not just get to use only Salesforce's tools.
Yeah. And then, when we talked before about the universities and, you're getting fresh grads, which is great out of the university, out of the colleges, right? How obviously AI, it's I forget what the saying, but it's basically like, it takes a lot longer. Innovation always takes a lot longer than you think, but at the end of it, it comes very fast, right? And AI with Chat GDP and everything at the moment, it's like, I'm using it every day. Most people are using it every day, right? Where we weren't even 2 months ago. The question is, how are the universities and the students keeping up with the latest development within AI? For us, who's right at the cutting edge of it, find it hard to keep up with it. Well, are you going to have to train your employees on the AI, or is it something that the universities are going to do?
It depends on the university, right? If someone had gone to the IITs or any of the premium institutes, then they have more exposure. People who go to tier 2 town universities or colleges, where we typically hire, we have to train them, right? It also depends on the individual. Some individuals are upfront learners, some need a job to learn, so it varies. And in many cases, we end up training them in whichever technology they suppose to. And we also use conferences for that, because we're in a big city, Chennai. So there's a conference, You Imagine, happening in a couple of weeks here. There's SaaS Boomi, which is Asia's largest SaaS conference, which is happening. It's mostly learning. I'm just going for that for the first time. So there's about 600 plus SaaS companies which are coming there. So learn from each other. So that exposure we give to our people, which typically they won't get out of college.
Yeah, great. And where do you, let's say that full adoption's at 10 out of 10. Where are we in the curve at the moment for AI in your perspective, especially from, an app exchange point of view? Are we still at 2 or 3, or are we, where are we sitting at the moment?
I'd say probably 3 or 4.
Yeah. What's the pace in the next 2 years? Is that going to, go up to 6 to 7, or do you think it'll just gradually increase?
I think it has to, because that's the way to differentiate your products, right? Yeah. Just the UI and the speed and those things are all mundane. I think the more differentiation you have for your product, the more effective you can sell. So, and it's also a buzzword, right? .ai is a big thing. So part of your branding, if you have some real AI in your product, it helps a lot.
Yeah. And as a general rule, the stuff that you're releasing at the moment, how much of it is, how much AI is in it? Is it, 5% functionality of the functionality, 10%?
About 10%.
And 10%.
A lot more to improve, but yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, look, we've been talking to Andi. He's from softsquare.biz, and it's episode 471. And, for me, if you're listening to Andi and you've got a product idea, but you may not have internal team, so you've got the business case, like we said with New Law, but you're like, I know that we haven't got the development, and particularly I always recommend that people don't split. Don't try to retrain the people that you're currently doing your services with. Don't try to train them to be developers. We've all been down that path. We've been down that path, and we know what the outcome is there. But, get in contact with Andi, and as you can see, he's very knowledgeable in the space, and he can certainly direct you in the right direction. So, Andi, what we're going to do now is the rapid fire, where I'll ask you 4 questions and get your rapid responses. So you ready for that?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. So the first one is, what are some daily habits that you do to help you scale your business?
Learn, right? So every day is a learning day. Scaling a business is not just about putting money in and investing and doing things for your customers. It's also nurturing your people. So we have been thinking about or planning for initiatives to enhance learning, enhance certification presence, career growth versus job satisfaction. Pay is not the only thing in the world. There is more to a career than just pay and spending. So as I mentioned, I learned from conferences for speakers, inspiration, podcasts like yours, and then applied to some of them to our company's growth.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, that covers off the next question, is where do you learn more? So you've done a brilliant job in combining those two. So the next one is, what's one wish that we could grant you for your business, SoftSquare, to scale it?
Right. I mean, learning from books is one. I am more my brain takes more from conferences where I see people and hear inspirational content of other achievers who have made it big and learn from them. So it's mostly face-to-face conferences or sometimes Zoom, but I go to Dreamforce, I go to Thai conferences in Santa Clara as well as in India. So, and that's where most of the inspiration and the knowledge comes from.
Right. So
to go and scale.
Right. So your wish is you want free. People will tell you the best conferences, free tickets, and free travel. That's what Andi wishes for his business. And the last one is, you've been in the industry for a long time because you started very young. But what do you know now that you wish you had have known early, and in particular around this, product and app space? What do you, in particular in that?
People management is one that's very important to grow the team and grow your products. Identifying the right people and have them leverage your presence, leverage your products, leverage your customers and their talent has been the most challenging and the most learning that I've been doing over the last few years. So if you get the right people to not just work, but align with your business ideas, I think that's a really important success. If you have the right people, your customers will swarm around you.
Yeah, great. And how big's the team at the moment, Andi?
We're 140.
Well, I think that's a great way to finish it. As I said, you're listening to Andi from softsquare.biz. We'll have all the links, etc., in the show notes. But I've thoroughly enjoyed past conversations we've had, Andi. I've enjoyed this one. And thanks for helping other Salesforce partners, other ISVs get great products to market. So look forward to speaking again soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Hope you enjoyed that interview with Andi. He's a fantastic person. And like I said, if you've got a product idea, you've got some questions around the App Exchange, maybe launching a product, etc., Andi's a wonderful guy. He's very giving of his time and just a wonderful person. And if you've got other peers that you think are got this challenge where they want to either launch an app or are trying to launch one, please share it with them. They'll love you. They'll think you're an absolute rock star. Check out our solo shows. Also, don't forget our scaling blueprint where it shows you what we believe is best practice after doing it myself and also mentoring hundreds of other cloud consultants. And you can see exactly where you are. You can get that for free at paulhigginsmentoring.com/blueprint. And as always, please take action to scale quickly with less effort to enjoy life more.
Learning is just one piece of the puzzle. It is now time for action. Head to today's show page at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast. Get the links and put it into action. Head to your favorite podcast platform, subscribe, rate, and review the show. Suggest topics for me to cover at paul@paulhigginsmentoring.com. And don't wait one more minute to gain access to content, especially for you, a cloud consultant, at paulhigginsmentoring.com/newsletter. This could be the difference between wasting time figuring it out yourself or scaling quickly with less effort to enjoy life.